came back. I came back at the end of SKAM season 3 to pour forth my mutilated remains and share them with you. Mutilated. Nah, I'm being dramatic. I'm sad, admittedly, to be parting ways with, weirdly, now I'm getting like the Isaac sinking in, the sadness for leaving his season behind because of him. Like, I'm like such an Evan person that I wasn't even thinking, like I was taking Isaac for granted because obviously I love him. Like, you just grow to want to take care of him. He just seems so young to me that I'm like, I'm his caretaker, and it's like my cactus over there, which you can kind of see that I am very attached to emotionally. I have to water it, I have to take care of it, I have to check on it, and sometimes sing to it to make sure it's okay. And I take it for granted, but I need it in my life. That's Isaac with me, and now I've realized he's gone, and there was a moment in the shower today where I just sat there with the water pouring down. I was like, oh no. Getting crazy over a TV show is one thing, but when it's like, because you have like a weird mom complex of like, I guess I want like kids or something. This is like a maternal thing. Who fucking knows? But I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do without this little one, this little bean? I guess I'll just water my cactus more. I don't know. But anyways, so, but I'm here to talk because, wow, a lot to say. SKAM. Kind of obsessed still, as you can tell. Things aren't getting any better. Mental instability, check. I can't wait for next season. I can't wait till they reveal. I'm Team Evan. I think we all know that. I'm still like hardcore. Give me more. I love the finale though, and I'm going to touch on that. But I just want to say that, like, the reason I want an Evan storyline is, yes, he's my favorite character because I'm drawn to the mental side of things with him, you know, like, as most people are. I think the ones who identify with him are like, hey, can we just, like, explore that through the media? Like, that's not often touched upon, usually. Or if it is, it's kind of, like, in a dark way or dramatic or, I don't know. It's just, I haven't found anything myself that I'm like, this is good. Like, usually it's just so dark and negative that it just kind of steers you away from feeling lifted by it. And I think the awesome part of SKAM is that they deal with things very realistically, but also very, like, beautifully. So I think that if they explored Evan's point of view, it would be awesome. A, because it's his last year in school. So, like, this is your last chance to get his school perspective, even if, I don't know, maybe they'd want him out of school, though, and go that route of, like, but I don't know. But, so it'd be his, like, senior year kind of thing. And then because it would be, yeah, like someone said this on Tumblr before, it would just be a seamless transition right into his line because we have so many questions that aren't answered. Like, we want to know why he left school. You know, like, they brought up all these little things that you're kind of, like, want an answer to just naturally as a human being. You're like, oh, but that. I'm still kind of confused about the locker room when the first thing he mentioned was like, what would your parents think about you dating me? Like, kind of confused why that was like the first thing he asked. Just little things like that. I want to know more about his character. I know that I could analyze him till the cows come home. Lord knows I could do that. I've started to. And it's because, like, he's just composed of, you know, like, creating this image for himself. Much like an Oscar Wilde sort of vision here. I almost showed you my tattoo. Actually, fuck it. Like a wild, alright, sorry. Last time doing that. It's very obnoxious. Especially in real life when people will say something like, anything that even sounds like wild. I'm like, wild with an E! Then I shove my arm in their face and I have no friends, long story short. But anyways, but yeah, I love Evan's way of, like, constructing his own life, the director, and then also being, like, this kid who is constantly on. He always seems on. He lured Isaac in with his onness, Mr. Smooth, glasses, slow-mo. Like, he totally creates his scenes. But there's moments of vulnerability and openness in which I want more of that. Because though he's very genuine as a person and his feelings are, like, totally wears his heart on his sleeve, totally just says what he thinks and feels for the most part. Very positive and loving and warm and open and just like, oh, he's so charming. He's very, he draws you in. That character is just so full of love, but also so troubled and the insecurity of him because of his mental illness. It just makes you like really want more. He leaves you wanting so much more. He's the most well-crafted side character I've ever seen, because Isaac, like, fucking phenomenal job. The whole, I mean, I look at how many people were drawn in by this season, right? Like, Isaac did an incredible job. I don't want to discredit him. I think, like, I fell in love with SKAM. I did start with season 3 because that's all. I thought that was like the only season. I didn't know there were 3 seasons. I thought it was just, you know, this. And then I found out there were more, and then I watched. But like season 1, I loved. I loved Ava, and her journey was awesome. So awesome. I'll get to that a bit too. But like Isaac, I think, I don't know. There is something about his character that makes you just feel something in a very deep emotional level of just like, I don't know if it's identifying him, not really. I mean, and yes and no in certain ways for me personally, but mostly it's just like the vulnerability of being a human he really displayed so excellently, especially for his age, you know. Like, I think any kind of beating-hearted person would identify with the emotions he displayed just so effortlessly and beautifully. So Isaac did a great job. And Evan was supposed to, well, to me, was just supposed to be like the side guy. And yet he also, hand in hand with Isaac, stole the show. Together they just created a fucking universe of depth and beauty. And I'm like, so hard. For lack of a better way of phrasing that. Emotionally just hard. I just like really want to, I don't know, I want to write fucking essays about this show and go into the depth of A, with the experience of being a human, and B, the experience of writing. Like, I don't know, I just think it's just, it's inspiring in so many ways, just like as a fictional piece. It's fucking awesome. I mean, look at me. I'm spending a lot of time on this damn show. I got shit to do, but here I am in front of a fucking computer talking to people through a video about like, this is why I like the show. So as you can see, it's clearly like, it's a big to-do. But, I'm getting sidetracked with my emotions again because I'm a fucking puppy. But my whole thing with this is, I wanted to kind of review the last episode because I'm seeing weird reactions from people. I'm seeing people be like, so this is kind of weird. This is what's up. It's weird. I'm like, it's not weird. What are you talking about? Like, I was like, thank fucking God. Because, some of you may know this. I fucking hate fluff, bullshit, romantic, unnecessary fluff. I need substance in romance. I need substance with characters. I need reality. Okay? So, like, while I think the fluff of SKAM was actually, I never was like, this is too much for the most part. Everything was just seamless because it's these two people that just sparked. They combusted with their chemistry and affection for each other. And then it's just like most young romances / romance, I guess, in general, when it's real, it just like snowballed quickly into like, we love each other forever, we're gonna get married, kind of honeymoon. And then it combusted into the reality. And then pieces were picked up because they decided through what their complications were, it was totally worth plowing forward and still building something, like building an actual foundation now instead of just let's pile sticks together to create this home because we want a house. Instead of that, it was like, okay, well, take down the sticks. Maybe we should have like a foundation. Let's put some cement down, you know, and they like actually built a fucking home. A home of love. Whatever this metaphor is, it's fucking stupid, but we're going with it. And like, I think that's what made me so like, I was like gripping my laptop and going, yes! Just that face for a long time. Screaming with joy, because the fact of the matter is they could have brushed it into like a happy, like Isaac being like, he's the man of my dreams and we're happy and we're gonna make children or whatever the fuck. And instead it was like Isaac was just the pinnacle of growth. This last episode really, he bloomed like a fucking flower. Holy shit. Like, he addressed his issues and cleaned up his messes, and his confidence was so there. Mr. Swagger, Mr. Eyebrows, Mr. speaking to people with balls and integrity and just addressing things. Like, I was so proud. Just, wow, good job at being a human. Like, fucking seriously, way better than I'm doing. Way younger than me, like half my age, and I can't do that shit yet. So, like, it was just, like, a very beautiful thing. look at me feeling things. And like the best part was the Ava talk, just like apologizing for that, addressing the past seasons, which I was kind of missing. Like, even though I fell in love with Evan, fell in love with the Evan and Isaac's chemistry, fell in love with Isaac and that whole world, like, I was so content living in that little bubble, but I also did kind of miss, Ava. I love Ava, and I missed her, and it was nice to see that explored again, touched upon the old seasons, and, like, it was such a healthy and beautiful and insightful conversation. Like, oh my God. It was so sweet. Just Isaac approached him and his and Evan's relationship with such a healthy state of mind that I was like just applauding the whole time. And I think people got nervous because he was speaking the most level-headed he could, which is strange. And like, I think almost like it's weird how people would react better. I think if Isaac had said, we're going to be together forever, he's the one, and like, I'm going to make sure we don't ever break up, like, because I need him. People, I think, would have had a better reaction to something like that than Isaac being like, I don't know if we're going to stay together, but it's hard so far. We've got issues. We have things that are really difficult to deal with, but I now know those issues. He knows his issues. And together we've decided that we want to keep going because when it's okay and those issues are under control, we work incredibly. We work fucking really well. So good that through all this hardship, I'm still 100% in this and taking it every day as it comes because right now I'm committed. And that's to me, that's what he said. Like, Isaac was just being like, hey, I know what I'm getting into. I know the realities of our situation, and I know the realities of love now. Because Isaac's never been in love before, or had a real relationship that mattered to him. So this is like a whole new world. I tried not to sing Aladdin, and I almost did. I win. Because I didn't. But I think it's just, that's what kind of being in a relationship is about, / growing as just a human or a living thing. It's falling in love with a feeling, being like, it's like the movies. Like what Noor touched upon earlier in the season. You think it's like in the movies, but it's not. Hers was more negative. But Isaac's was more like, no, it's not your typical thing, but it can be better than that because it's real. It's not just fluff. I think he knows what being in a relationship is now. It's not ignorance and whatnot. It's a real approach to it. And there's such respect and dedication for their bond right now. Isaac is 100% in it. I don't know. I'm just so confused why people are like, he didn't seem as smitten. I'm like, oh my God, he seemed more smitten. He seemed, well, I should say maybe less like puppy smitten and more in love to me. It seemed like someone who has a partner, who's in a partnership. And one of the things that got me so like, yes, was how before it was kind of like Evan was this statue of be all end all, beauty and magnificence. This is what you want to attain. He's so godlike, amazing and cool and whatever. And then he just seemed almost intangible in some ways. Like we were waiting on his text. He was so on and off, and he kind of wore the pants in the relationship, so to speak. Like he just seemed to have a lot of hand, and everything was dictated around his decisions and choices. And we were always like, what's going on with Evan? Does he like us? Like, because us and Isaac are the same person. Does he like us? And it was just like Evan, and even though that wasn't like, it was bad because obviously it shouldn't be like that in a relationship, but it was like, you're just getting Isaac's mindset of, you don't even realize that's bad at the time. You're like, oh, we're just so smitten with this awesome human. Like, we just want to know what he wants. And as much as that was going on, by the end, the last episode, the balance seemed to be there. It shifted. Everything was not like, oh, this and that. It was like two on par people in a relationship. It was Isaac being like, no, you shouldn't be smoking because of this. But like, yeah, he should have a discussion with Evan, what Evan wants. Yes. But there's also a fine line with that sort of a thing where, you can't always, there's a time to be strong and there's a time to listen to them and have empathy, but also time to kick their ass a little bit, because when you have mental illness, you're not always like aware of what's good for you, and you're going to fight people on it, but it's like a child that has a knife and you got to be like, no. So like, I think it's good that Isaac is like, hey, this isn't good for you. Like, if this is going to trigger something with you, no. But at the same time, the way he does it is with humor, softness. He's not just like, no, you can't do that, which I'm thinking Sonia may have done. But he brings humor to it, and Evan responds to that so well. They banter so well, and then he's also so loving and supportive and casual with him. It's like, I don't know. I just really liked the way he addressed that. I loved that he was able to joke about the manic episode and feel comfortable with that, and Evan was comfortable. It just makes it all real, and I'm clutching my face because I have emotions and I have to hold them into my face. Just keep them in. I just loved it. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed the realness, but the lightheartedness, but the humanity in it all. It just addressed so much. And I don't know. I'm getting emotional, so I'm zoning out and feeling and lost in the moment. But I am excited for their future. I think that Isaac is absolutely 100% dedicated to Evan and vice versa. I think he is more confident now, just the way he addresses Evan. I think Isaac is more himself with him. He's got more confidence, it seems, even with him, where he says and feels what he thinks, and it's just two people who are together on par, same ground, same footing, and it's just lovely. It's lovely to see, especially in a teen drama. It's so weird because, this show has such substance, and you just don't usually see it in something like this. Usually it's, so fluffy or, I don't know, not substanceless, but it's usually a shock factor, juicy drama. But this has such incredible depth to it. I think I've compared it to this before, I'm not sure, but it kind of reminds me in a weird way of, reading a Hemingway short story, kind of. I don't know. I know that's weird, but it just feels really sparse and heavy, but with a good twist to it, not as depressing and that face, it's a really inspiring, beautiful, lighthearted version, but it's still got that less is more vibe, that symbolism, that use of everything, scenes, setting, and silence. I don't know, it just is really, it packs such a punch, I think, and that's probably why it's setting aflame with all age groups and all people around the world, is just because it touches upon the human experience so well. I sound like such a fucking nerd when I say that, and a pretentious nerd, like I'm some professor. Fuck off, Claire. There, I said it for you because y'all are thinking it. But yeah, so I loved the last episode as far as I really loved Isaac's point of view from it. I think he became out strong, dedicated to a relationship. He now is aware of what it entails. He's made peace with his friends. He has included Evan into his life instead of it being the Isaac Evan bubble. He is now talking to his female friends. He's back with his bros. He's incorporating Evan into that life as well. So they're all melding together, which I think is incredibly important in your relationships. So it ended on a healthy note as far as they are on the right track and they'll figure the rest out. We as the audience don't need to see, I guess, the conversations about Evan talking about his issues and his points of views and things. Unless, and this brings me to my next point, Evan has season 4. And the reason I want Evan to have season 4 is because of this. I want to focus on his life. Y'all have heard me say this countless times. I'm huge on it. I want his perspective of the mental illness and how he deals with it and how he can learn to care about himself and how learn himself. Because you're constantly learning yourself, under those circumstances. And I think that one of the most important things would be him, going through school with, there are rumors going around, we heard from, remember Vilda said, there's all this stuff talking about how he's crazy. He's like a nut job. I want to know how he addresses and deals with those. I want to know, what happened to his old friends, how him and his family's relationship his relationship with his family is. Anyways, and just everything. I want it all. And because it's important to address, it's beautiful to address. A lot of people are connecting with it. And because it's just you grow with a character, you want him to be safe and happy. I just feel like I'm very comfortable with where Isaac is right now. I think he's really confident, and I think he has a lot of love to give, and he's not being fake, and he's found his roots. I think caring for Evan and being honest with him and communicative has made him more strong. Like, it gives him a sense of purpose in life. I feel like he's just proud and strong and awesome and lighthearted again and totally himself. And I'm happy with where he is in life. Like, we've ended this chapter and I'm happy with Isaac's place. I'm nervous about Evan. I don't know if he's okay with where he is. I know he's in love with Isaac. I know that he is, like, you know, happy in that regard. I don't know where he is with himself. You know, like, I don't know if he's, like, forgiving himself or if he's constantly angry and ashamed of who he is because of this or what. I'm nervous about him, a little high-strung about him, and I want more. I just want to know that he's okay. And if it was the next season, we're all so attached to him right now. We have such concern for this human that we kind of have all these questions about, like, where are you going? Are you on medication or are you not on medication? Are you in so new friends or not? Where do you live exactly? Like, who with who and just what's going on? And we have so much, and we were built. We were carefully constructed and manipulated to fall in love with this kid and just care so much for him that I think it'd be great to segue into that and let us know he's okay before we move on. You know? That's my argument. I just think there's so much we have left. A, because of his character. B, because of his position in life. That it's identifiable, it's relatable, it's inspiring. And I think if it ends next year, if we get a 4th season of Evan's perspective, and it ends, like, in this same way where he's found love through Isaac, but in a way that, like, he overcomes all that shit and realizes that you can have stable relationships, you can have a stable life, you can love yourself and someone else can love you too. I think that'd be an awesome message. I know we got that this season, but if to really explore it through Evan's eyes, because I don't know where he is. Like, he seems happy, but, like, is he? We don't know, and I would love to know for a fact that he's grown into a place where he is managing himself okay, and what comes, yeah, but, like, the fact that if him and Isaac had a happy ending and Evan had a happy ending, you know, with himself, oh, I'd be resting easier. I'd be sleeping longer hours, let me tell you. And it just would be a really good message for all ages. Mental illness doesn't have an age group. You know what I mean? Like, anyone, any age can relate to that. So, in the context of high school or not, I think that would be such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. This is making me want to, like, write young adult fiction and just cry to myself, but still write it. Through the tears. Through the dark. One Direction reference. Anyways, so yeah, that's just kind of my review. Very long review on the last episode. Loving it. Hoping Evan is season 4 because I want so much more from him and I want to know he's okay. And I'm so curious about him and how he just exists on his own. Alone, no eyes around him, every wall down. How is he? Is he okay or not? I don't know. I would love that. I do want Vilda's point of view. I do want Sana's point of view. I want everyone's point of view. Right now I want Evan's. And I feel bad saying it because I feel bad, like, taking away from all those characters that have been there from the get-go. I don't want to make it the Ivan Isaac show. What did I just say? Isaac and Evan show. Like, I do, because I've grown so attached, but I miss the others and I want it full incorporation. So, like, I feel bad in that regard, but I'm also like, I don't feel bad. So make it Evan's season. Whatever. I'll drop it. No, I won't. But yeah, anyway, so that's my review. I love it. I love the show. I think Isaac's, well, you know, real quick before I leave though, back to Evan. I will say this too. I loved season 1 because Ava was like, you saw a young girl, a young insecure girl who had no friends and was relying too heavily on her boyfriend and his friends in his life. And then you saw her shed that, grow strength, become a fucking phoenix, own her life, and then become an awesome independent woman. I loved that season. I loved Ava. I think she was, I don't know, I loved that season. Season 1 is so good to me, and it's lighthearted enough. while also having a really beautiful message. And she blooms into just the lovely, strong, little fiery girl she is. I love her, and I think she's fun, and she's a little wasted. She could, she's a little crazy, but hey, aren't we all? I can't talk. So, like, I love her, and I grew attached to her, too. I cared about her a lot. And Jonas, her and their relationship I actually grew attached to. Even though I'm glad they broke up for those reasons, I'm like, if they get together someday again, I won't be mad. But they were wonderful. Nora, her season was... I like Nora. I think she needed more for me to love her. She just, like, had all the great characteristics on paper, but then in person I felt lacking. There's something lacking. Maybe it's that dead weight she had called William. I don't know. His personality was literally a mop head. Did I mention that? I fucking hate him. Have I mentioned to you how William is literally a block of, not cheese, because cheese tastes good and it's useful. I don't know what he is comparable to. A used dish rag, perhaps? But even that, at least, was useful once. I don't know. I really don't like William. I think he was an asshole. Yes, he wasn't kind of, but he kind of was. I didn't like the way they got together with him being like, in his car, and like, hey, you chose to be here. I didn't force you. Like, I don't know. There was no personality, and he was kind of a dick. And I'm like, why did you fall in love? All you do is stare at each other. And kiss. And brood. I don't know, whatever. But Nora's season was kind of about her, like, overcoming, I guess, her pride. And, like, even though she said, no way about this, that, and the other, she learned to open up in ways she didn't think she could. And she grew as a person, like, tapping into, kind of like the opposite of Ava, like, a strong, independent woman that realized you can tap into also loving someone and needing someone and changing your mind. Like, Sana's and hers conversation at the very end of that season was, like, my favorite part of the season. Not just because it meant it was over, but because I thought that was a good message. It is strong to change your mind and grow. So, like, yeah, I see the point of that one. And Isaac's, obviously, the point of him was growing into himself and not being ashamed of who he truly was and not being fake anymore. Like, the most important message of being a person, don't be fake, be yourself. Come to terms with every aspect of you and deal with your issues. So if we had Evan's point of view and dealt with, like, what it's like to, have mental illness and self-doubt and insecurity and all that, and, like, being afraid and all that and overcoming that and having a happy ending even though you think you can't because pretty much everything in the world tells you you can't. Anyways, this is half an hour. So I'm glad I've talked to you forever about this show. I'm glad you haven't listened thus far. There's probably one person on this planet that's watched for this long. And if you have, shake my hand and let's hang out because I think we could. I'm going to stop now before this turns into 40 minutes. So I'm going to go. Thanks for hanging out with me. Talk to me on the thing if you have questions. I hope I respond to them. I might not because I'm also certifiable trash. I will try. But anyways, I can't wait till we get the reveal of the next person. If it's not Evan, I won't be mad. I'll be fine. Whatever happens, I'm still going to watch the show, though. So, anyways, it got real. See y'all soon. Have a lovely day. And bye. Just Hold On by Steve Aoki and Louis Tomlinson on iTunes if you can. If not, please stream it on Spotify. Love y'all. See you.